Hello, Shafiq here, Shafiq the Empowerment Coach. I hope you're doing well. I hope your Tuesday is proving to be a good day. And if it's not, or you're struggling, then hopefully this blog here will enable you to get through those tough times. So my name is Shafiq Villasanti, and I'm a coach, an author, and a speaker. I am the author of this book, There's No Shame. Grab yourself your copy from www.shafiqempowermentcoaching.co.uk. Look for my name. There's only one of us out there. You can get it on Audible, or you can get it on Kindle, or get yourself a paperback copy. But crucially, I am not only a coach, an author, and a speaker, but as I said yesterday, I am the survivor of 2 suicide attempts. That's right, I said it as confidently as saying 20 pounds of diesel on pump number 3. And let's be honest, why should I shy away from it? We all know, do we not, that 1 in 4 people will be suffering with a mental health condition. And I was just a statistic, I guess, and I'm passionate about breaking down those stigmas and taboos associated with poor mental health, as I say. So what's the reason for me being here in YouTube land? Well, what I do day to day, I coach, I blog, obviously I sell books, but crucially, I help people get over those tough times. My poor mental health and my attempts in my life were pretty much down to how I was thinking and where I found myself in my life, and the fact that I found I couldn't break myself away from it. So what with World Mental Health Day 2020 fast approaching us, which is this coming Saturday, the 10th of October, we've got to get those conversations started. My biggest turning point for me was when I acknowledged something was wrong with me and when I started to talk. I couldn't deal with this by myself. I pretty much between 2006 and 2016, those two occasions, those 10 years apart, didn't speak to anybody about what I tried to do. I pretty much felt like I was the only crazy guy in the building, the only crazy guy around, and who would know? Well, in actual fact, I should have realised a lot of us will know. But we're going back now 2006, 14 years ago, and I guess it wasn't as prevalent as it is now. And even though we are acknowledging it, even though we are seeing it in the press, do we have those conversations? No. So the very reason for these blogs this week is to give you an insight into my journey, what I potentially might have done wrong, how I recognized it, how I got myself better, how I kept myself from deviating, and crucially, how I keep myself in this good place. And as I always say, the magic is in here and it's in here. And crucially, if you start talking and opening up, if you're struggling, that's a game changer. And if you know somebody who might be struggling, then talking and opening up and having those conversations is equally a game changer. Okay, so a little bit about my story. I'm not going to bore you too much about my story. I am a 45-year-old father of 2, been married for 22 years. I've been with my wife 22 years, happily married, got 2 amazing kids. Daughter is pretty much 14 and a son who's 9. Live in a great part of the world here in the United Kingdom in Surrey, blessed to live where I live. And let's be honest, COVID has hit us all like a sledgehammer, and times have been tough, challenging. We've all had to adapt, and it hasn't been plain sailing. But crucially, I think my way of thinking and those people that come through into my life, as it were, have seen the fact that you can take control of what you're thinking about. But my life hasn't always been like that. So I've had no traumas, I've had no abuse, I've had no alcoholism, I've had no substance abuse. My life has been pretty much blessed. I've got 2 amazing parents. I'm the product of a very loving family, and my life has been good. And this is what we need to acknowledge and recognize. If you have a mental health condition, or if you're suffering with low mood, low anxiety, or clinical anxiety, clinical depression, as I with those suicidal thoughts, whatever it might be, it doesn't account or cater for one particular type of person. It will grab hold of you, and if you don't deal with it, and if you don't acknowledge it, and if you don't take it head on, then it can really start to gain momentum. And that pretty much was me. So in retrospect, my breakdown, as I call it, my clinical depression and clinical anxiety, and both my attempts in my life were pretty much down to where I found myself. And doesn't only have to be in a professional level. This can be in a relationship, it can be in a financial commitment, it can be in a life situation. So I found myself working crazy hours, being undervalued, I guess being taken advantage of. And once you start slipping down that slope of, I'm not getting any praise, I'm not getting any kind of backup, I'm failing my wife, I'm failing my kids, I'm failing myself. I was looking at everybody else getting on with their lives and using that as a barometer and looking at myself and feeling I'm not marrying up to this. It started to weigh very, very heavy. And once you get to the point where you're working 18 hours a day, working 85 hours a week, and you're not enjoying your life, it becomes very, very tough. And I could feel it happening. I could feel it happening in 2006 and 2016, but I was terrified. By the time I tried to take my life in 2006, I attempted to read the book. It's all in there. I've got to be kind of careful of what I talk about, obviously. I felt I'd invested so much time into a career that I didn't know what else to do. And for all the knockbacks I got, if I got a commendation or a well done, Shafiq, you've done really well today, that was enough to keep me going for another 6 months. And before you know it, you're 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and so many years into that career. And that could also be into a relationship. Sometimes we go, oh, but there are these things that kind of outweigh the negative sides of stuff. And you just put up. And then you understand what you do when you walk away, that you pretty much are a square peg and you're trying to fit into that round hole, and it's not going to happen, but you keep banging away at it. And in some ways, because you're putting all that effort into the relationship, the career, the job, it's very easy to say, I'm going to walk away from the effort that you put in. And that was me. So by the time 2016 came in, I was subconsciously walking around with all these negative thoughts and negative fears, and the fact that I'd done what I'd done in 2006, and that pretty much determined and defined who I was. So I was walking around my life thinking, I tried to do this in 2006, and, it's going to happen again because I've done it before, But sillily, if you're going to put your hand in a fire and pick up a red hot coal, you'll go, nope, I'm not going to do that again, because it's a physical scar. But when it's up here and when you can't see it and people can't see you and can't question your illness, then you just carry on as normal. And for me, I was pretty much hiding behind this game show mask. Everything's great. I was the guy that G'd up the guys and the girls. I was the guy that was the face. I was the guy that was a talker. But once I closed that office door, and once I was out by myself, as I said, they were very, very long days. So my story is one of having the most loving and caring upbringing, and throwing myself into a career, throwing myself in, could be a relationship, could be a financial situation, could be a family circumstance, and putting everything into it because that's the sort of guy that I was. And finding that everybody else's opinion of me mattered more than my own. So when people were knocking you down, you listened to their opinion rather than yourself. And then your subconscious started to kind of just get full and seep, full of all this negative energy, negative influence, negative opinions of oneself. And that just defined who I was. So when I woke up in the morning, I wasn't Shafiq Villasanti, who was working 18 hours a day looking after his wife and 2 kids and doing the best job he possibly can. I was Shafiq Villasanti, who was working 18 hours a day and was a failure, not only at home, but in the office, in the workplace, amongst his peers. And that's who I recognized myself as. And if you're feeling that low, you can only take so many knocks. And I got knocked down to the point where, as I said, in 2016, I went hurtling towards a central reservation at 50 miles an hour. That was my way out of this situation. But as I said, as we're going to talk about tomorrow, what I did to challenge this way of thinking, I came out of it. And those subsequent years between 2016 and 2018 were the worst years ever. But I didn't fall back. I didn't falter. I didn't waver. I kept my resolve and my resilience strong. I kept knowing and seeing myself in a better place. And if only I'd had that way of thinking in those dark times between 2006 and 2016, then I would never reach those lows again. And this is why I'm passionate about having these conversations, because my recovery, my new version of myself was undoubtedly because I started to speak openly about it. I didn't shy away. I didn't hide away. I didn't look at it as some dirty little secret anymore. This is me. This is my story. This is pretty much makes my own. This is the making of me in some shape, way, or form. And I was lucky to get a third attempt at life. So have those conversations. Reach out to people that you know might be worrying about the whole C thing we're living through now. You're doing an amazing job. We've never been through this before, and yet we're ploughing on. We're wearing our masks. We're sanitizing our hands. We're staying away from each other in queues. We're keeping safe at home. We are all doing an extraordinary, fantastic job of trying to get through this. And yes, it's going to be taxing, and yes, your mental health is going to be struggling at times. But be mindful of who you surround yourself with. Be mindful of what you listen to. Be mindful of where you go in your thoughts and where you go in your physical being, because sometimes we can get caught up in other people's dramas, thinking about what's going on in the world, and their dramas start to become your dramas. And that pretty much defined me. When you're in a big building, everybody hates the business, the industry, dislikes you, and they've got all their own problems, and they feed them out to you, then all their dramas become your dramas, and then you start living their dramas, and you cannot escape it. And there was just not one happy place for many, many years. Okay, so thanks for your love and support. That's a bit of an insight into me and where I went wrong. And tomorrow we're going to be talking about how I overcame it, how and what I did in order to overcome my mental health. And for those that you want to know, I was diagnosed with clinical depression and clinical anxiety, and I had very, very dark thoughts that begin with an S, which I don't like using, because I think if you use the S word about wanting to take one's life, then it conjures up all sorts of pictures, which are negative pictures. Okay, I've been there. I've had the dark places. Pick up the book. You know where to get it. www.shafiqempowermentcoaching.co.uk. It tells you all about my story. But as I always say, my talk and my take on my mental health story is one that is upbeat, is confident, is relative, and is informative, and gives hope to those that might be in a dark place. I've been there, I've come out the other side, and I'm here to help you. Have the most amazing day. Look forward to catching up with you tomorrow. You know where to catch me, all my social media handles, but crucially, stay strong, dare I say. Stay strong, stay safe, stay positive, and I look forward to catching up with you soon. Have a great day. Cheers, bye.